Hi, welcome to the Double D Experience. We're joined by a C this week, because I think this is the second time we've had a C. Dennis, has there ever been another time where we've had a C? We've had an N, we've had a J, we've had a B. Vandy, have we ever had a C? All right, he's just being a dickhead. All right.
No, I don't think we have ever had a C.
We have a guest this week, ladies and gentlemen. It is none other than Cherry. Me and Dennis decided we had to pop our cherries this week, and what better way to do that?
How did I know you were gonna make that joke?
Because we've been bestest buddies for years, that's why. Cherry, how are you today?
I'm very good. It's a pleasure to be here. I know we're trying to get this behind the scenes. Like, it was really cool. Like, honestly, I was really excited when you had messaged me about being potentially on this, and it was just, my life was so busy. From the point of when NASB 2 dropped, not even related to it at all, like tournament organizing or anything, just like work and like real life stuff was so busy for pretty much November all the way until like March. And this, like, I think today is like the first, like, actually Tuesday rather, but Tuesday to today is like the first day where it's been like, all right, I know for a fact that from like this point on, I'm like actually like normal in terms of the amount of things I have to do. Like, it's been crazy, man.
Beautifully normal. It's for that very business reason that I decided to just have you on. I was gonna have you and Chuck on at the same time, actually. Coordinating the schedules of 4 people is really annoying. Yeah. And it happened as you already know, it happened many weeks in a row where, like, Cherry could do it, Chuck can't do it this week, Chuck can do it, Cherry can't do it this week, Dennis can't fucking do it. There was a time where you two could and he couldn't, which is very annoying. But, yeah, I mean, I could introduce you for you, but, I mean, you know how to speak for yourself, just in case you don't know Cherry. Cherry is... the term GOAT gets thrown around a lot. And I really hate that. Like, people use it for everything. Like, people will do, like, a minor thing. Like, they'll see a banana peel, like, on the sidewalk. They'll walk around and be like, yo, my coordination GOAT. You're so amazing at walking. And then be like, all right, I hate it. That just means nothing at this point. Cherry does amazing work for the NASB scene. He is a very prominent TO, if not the most prominent tournament organizer in the NASB 2 scene right now. As well as just a prominent figurehead in that scene. Am I right? Am I wrong about that? Am I good? Do I spit facts?
I don't always like to toot my own horn, but I feel I was actually talking about something related to this recently with a group, and I was like, am I like technically like the like main representative for this game? And because it just feels weird. And I was talking to somebody, and they're like, yeah, like you're pretty much up there. Like, there's not many others, and I'm like, that feels weird because I used to say when I had gotten into the community just as a competitor. Like 3 years ago now, I was just like, yeah, I just look up to these people, you know, like these are the types of people that like I would look up to and think, oh wow, it's so cool to like interact with them. So it's weird to now be one of those people. So it's pretty funny, but do you want like a background or anything?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I could just relate very, really hard to what you're saying. As somebody who's been an esports caster for many, many, many years, you know, I used to see it as like this massive podium at the first local I ever went to, which was at this friggin' firehouse in like Jersey, right? I used to see it as like this true precipice of like Greek greatness to sit on like the little table they had behind there and commentate on the little shitty ass stream that they had, because that was like a big precipice for me to climb at the time. That's where I got my start at, or around the first locals that I ever commentated at. And every bit of networking I did in that scene just happened naturally because it was just the place where I wanted to be. Until you wind up being in that same echelon that you yourself just said you found yourself surprised to be at. But as a result of what you do, it makes, and you and Chuck, it's part of one of the reasons I wanted to have Chuck or another TO on as well, is because what you guys do, everything you guys do is what makes all of us, you know, just happy and healthy with an outlet. So like a lot of what we do in NASB couldn't even be done because of you. And that's why I wanted to ask you, what attracted you to, in the words of Twitter, just the shitty ass little Nickelodeon Smash clone, looks like dog water, it's too fast, I can't even tell what moves are coming out when they happen, shields don't have a fucking animation or anything. What's going on here? Well, tell me your NASB story. What attracted you to this?
Yeah. So in the words of Waidu, he's the goat. I love talking to him.
Goat. Yeah, another actual legend.
He had a title for a NASB 2 video. It was like the Garfield fighter or whatever, or Garfield Smash or whatever that was. SpongeBob Smash.
It was at the time.
It was fire.
Yeah,
it was fire. And so what initially attracted me to the game, just because at the time I was a TO for Smash Ultimate. And it was more so at a like very local level. I was in college at the time, 2021. And so I just hosted crew battles and weeklies at my college. And NASB came out and I was like, holy crap, like this thing has rollback. This thing has like other like big characters in it, like SpongeBob, and other like just Nick reps. It's not just like another like Rivals, where Rivals is awesome, but it's cool to have IP like you can relate to, And so it was just a couple of big things. And even with like how it looked and everything, it was silly. Like I didn't need to compete to win money. I just wanted to play it in a competitive format. And that's kind of like where my competitive side of it, I was like, this is just funny. Like it's just, who wouldn't want to play SpongeBob and Wave Dash? Like just so stupid. But as a TO, I didn't get into TOing until much later into the game's lifespan. It was like a year later. And it was near the weekend of Combo Breaker 2022. And I was talking with Blackamar just for a while. And pretty much I got my start into the community just by talking about how it would be awesome. Cause I for the record, I always joke about it now cause it's funny looking back on it. I was terrible at NASB. I was just so bad at it. I was just not used to the way the hit's done and the knockback, and the animations were confusing. And I also played CatDog, who just for pretty much the first 1.5 years of NASB just didn't work.
Yeah.
He literally if you tried to switch to cat, you just would never get cat. You'd always stay cat or stay dog. Pretty much for the whole game's lifespan, except for the last 6 months. And it was so infuriating, and then there was a couple bugs that made me stop competing, where it was double stocking, if you happen to know about that, where pretty much you'd retain your momentum when you'd get killed. And so when you respawn, you'd instantly die again if you were at a high enough percent. And it was the most, imagine being in a tournament and you lose one stock and now you're 2 stocks down. It's just infuriating. I'm I can't do this anymore,
Sounds
man.
like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Double card, yeah.
Yeah, it's pot of greed or something.
Yeah.
And so, I took breaks when, it was at a low, but I was talking to Blackamar, and I was like, man, I'm always going 0-2. I wish somebody would just, come up with the idea of, a beginner-only event. Because, at the time, there was, in the Grinders Discord, there was a matchmaking ping called Beginners Only. And it was great, because you could have 2 options. You would have, either, somebody who's generally decent at the game, who would be willing to, coach, or just somebody who was, a bit lower skill, who would just kind of be a actually fun match. And so I ended up seeing that nobody was willing. None of the TOs were willing to do it, just because it was just, yeah, that'd be cool. Nobody really thought to actually do it. And so then I kind of said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna host an Arcadian without realizing that I'm even doing that. And what kept me around in NASB all that time, and this is kind of what helped create this thing off the ground, was just the sincere niceness and welcoming and helpful nature of the community. Because as soon as I announced that I was gonna host this thing, Tafar and Victor and a ton of other people all just were hey, you want money for this? Mario Stare, who he's more of a NASB guy, he came from FPS, but he came and was you want $200 to throw at this Arcadian? I'm I don't even know you guys, but I appreciate, sure, why not throw a giant prize pool for an Arcadian? And they just also helped, because I was only using Challenge at the time, and they taught me everything I ever need to know about strategy, in a weekend. So it was all of this people came together you have a great idea, let's just make it awesome. And Max Ketchum even shouted out the tournament NASB Junior, and it was on the same weekend without, I didn't even realize it. I don't even know how I didn't realize this, as Combo Breaker 2022. So we were competing with that, but NASB 1, which was my first ever Arcadian, had 93 or 92 entrants, and they were all beginners. We banned all the top 50 players, all the launch PR players, and there were still 90 players for NASB 1 the whole year later.
Wow.
And so it was just that was my start, and I hosted Arcadians for pretty much most of NASB 1's lifespan until like another year later at Combo Breaker 2023, where I kind of helped out with Frosty Faustings 2023 as the head TO for NASB 1 and Combo Breaker. And after the start of Combo Breaker, I started hosting NASB 1 weeklies, and then I kind of started doing content creation after that as well, like kind of on the side. And just like for fun, nothing like how I do it now, where it's like I'm trying to kind of emulate some larger YouTube channels in the way that they do it. But that was kind of how I got my start into it. And the main thing that really kept me around, I know this is like the longest story ever, just to answer it, but to answer that is just the community, even like though like competition wise, it wasn't like entrant, especially when I was around. Like when I started like competing, it was like 8 people top. Like that was it. You'd make top 8 because there was 8 people. And sometimes you'd make top 4 because there was 4.
Yo, tweet that too and everything. Like, yo, I made top 8.
I literally,
I got
my
top
second
8.
tournament ever. My second tournament ever. There were 7 people. And I go to my friends. I'm like, guys, I made top 4. Because like I had a bye because somebody like DQ'd. And I'm like, let's go.
That's the worst. You're the worst.
And they're like, really? Congratulations. I'm like, no, no.
No, you don't tell them.
7 people.
You don't tell them. It's just like, oh yeah, it was a 64. It was a 64-man locals.
Put it on Facebook where like nobody knows about like the esports side of scene where your relatives are at and everything. Be like, yo, I made top 8. They don't know the difference.
But yeah, like beyond all that, like I went 0-2 like every bracket. Even like towards the end, like I started going like 1-2 towards the end of NASB 1. Like I actually started like doing really well, even against like great players like PugX. Like I had a couple sets where it was like game 5 or so, or like game 4, whatever, like. But it was like what kept me around was just genuinely people were just so nice. Like people were very chill, willing to like any top player was willing to play you. Any person who asked for advice would give you this essay of like, oh, here's everything like you'd ever need to know about my character so that you can like either practice him or like learn the counterplay or whatever. Or like even if it wasn't the game, people were just willing to like hang out, and it was a very different like collected atmosphere. Whereas like Smash, it's weird because since NASB was like all online pretty much, except for the few like offline majors every so often, it was like you got to know the community like as if they were in person but online. Whereas like Smash Twitter, for instance, where like I'm also semi-active in, is like it's like a cesspool, man. Like it's you're trying to weave through like who's a real person and who's a bot, and like half the bots are the people you play in the Wi-Fi brackets, like you'll find them in the coin boxes, but then it's like the other half is like genuinely normal, cool, like chill people. It's like you gotta kind of figure out what's what.
That's been my experience with the NASB 2 scene in the short time that I've done it. I entered very few NASB 1 brackets. I did a couple offline ones that Max tried to put on at the Platinum Star Smash location. There was a monthly that we had a little while back. He tried to put on some of those, and I usually stopped. I usually had to DQ from those halfway through because then I had to go commentate. And so it was always a big mixed bag, which Max... he was understanding, but he really wanted me to just play NASB instead, as you can understand. He really wanted me to do that instead. And the reason I quit NASB 1 was because of Zim. Funny enough, because Zim was the antithesis of what I actually liked about NASB 1, how the game was way more fast-paced and interaction-heavy, and then they just buffed the shit out of Zim for no reason to the point where he was like the 2nd or 3rd best in the game.
He was so crazy.
He literally made me throw my controller and like just playing him on quick play and shit. And then I typed in the Discord, what do I do against Zim? And like you said, people gave me essays and stuff, but he was really like the antithesis for that game for me. And To add on to what you said about, like, serving the scene, it's like, I understand that, because, like, you don't have to, like, a lot of, like, young players, especially ones with, like, very big, like, social issues and stuff, they need to know, or, like, they don't know yet, that there's other ways to serve it and to give back that same love that it gave you. There's so many ways. You don't have to be a competitor to be valid in the scene. There's many different ways you could do it. You could be a commentator. You could be a TO. You could be a vendor at events. You could be just somebody to, like, help with, like, getting sponsors or, like, financing. There's so much stuff in that grassroots scene. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because there's sort of this stigma that, like, you're not worth much if you're not as good at the game. And in that vein, as far as giving back to the scene, I was very disconnected from the Smash scene for a very long time. I didn't enjoy Ultimate anymore for so many reasons. I liked the game less and less as it went on. DLC, sticky platforms, all that stuff. I dated someone from the scene and we broke up, and then it was rough for me to go back there for a while. I fell off hard as a commentator for a very long time. COVID, it was also in the middle of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very dark time for me, so I had a pretty toxic-ass relationship with the scene. I'm past all the demons and I'm grown enough now, but at the time, in a way that I wanted to give back at one of the first offline locals that I could have ever even gone back to, this was way after I stopped competing, by the way, I dropped a prize pool for the 100th Fusion local in New Jersey, like the Fusion, which is one of the longest standing locals that they have. So many people came out, all these great players came out, Nick C, Tweak, all these insane ultimate top players, and the reason I'm bringing this story up is because all I said was when they announced that they Nintoonist dropped a $100 pop bonus for the event, all I tweeted was, don't let this money go to a Steve player.
It's always the Steve players, man.
And if you remember Smash Twitter on that day, you might have seen it. That was when Quandale Dinglingleton fucking double eliminated Tweak.
I watched that. Yeah,
that you remember now, right?
I watched it live.
That was the bracket.
I watched it
That
live.
was the same bracket chat. I literally screamed into the void, you fuckers had one job.
No.
And then they beat the best player at that event. And that was when no one knew who Quandale was either. That was that was his breakout tournament.
That's when I learned.
That was my money. That was my money. That was stolen.
That's awesome.
By the block man.
Let's go, Steve players. That's awesome. Creating great memories.
Yeah, but before
he hasn't been patched since then, Steve?
Not really.
Oh wow! So he's just essentially got a soft ban at some places then.
At some tournaments, yes. Some majors have banned him. Yeah.
I saw something today, and I don't know how valid this is because Champagne, one of the other TOs in the Midwest, was talking to me about this too on Twitter. Was that Hungrybox had talked about how the Nintendo licensing for events restricts you from banning Steve. However, other TOs I've talked to about that were saying that there have been events that were submitted that have been approved or are going to be approved or whatever, have been and will be, that are banning Steve. So I don't know if there's some new license changing regulation or if it's an accommodation you need to request or a modification or what. But there was some new weird drama where HBox was talking about that today in the Lights Out podcast or some other thing about how Steve no longer can even be banned. But I will say, it seems like after watching that one Central Florida major that recently happened, Cirque 3,
Cirque, I think it's Cirque.
Yeah. Cirque sounds right. There was.
We were listening to Riot Let Us talk about Shattuck's father's dick. Is that what you were on? That? Yeah, no.
No.
Sorry for even bringing that up, but that was
crazy.
That was wild, man.
Yeah, no, I tuned out way earlier than that. I was watching a restream.
You didn't miss much. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I can't stand it. Commentary.
Don't even get me started.
My point with bringing that up was the whole Steve results thing. It's changed. It seems like there were a lot of Steves there, but just not really. It was way more diverse of a top 8 than you maybe would have expected a year ago with Ultimate, where how dominating or how oppressive it felt to see double Steve and even just 2 Steves in top 8. And that's sad to say because Smash 4 was Bayo Central City, everybody had a Bayo, but in this it's not everybody is a Steve yet, and although it feels maybe eventually we'll get there, it seems we're pushing against it for a bit longer. And I like Steve, I think he's hilarious, but also I like it in doses. I don't need to see 8 Steves in a row.
Yeah.
Top 8,
It ain't the same as Bayo, man. As I lived through both, it absolutely is not the same. Bayonetta literally did not have a disadvantage state. Steve is just lame. That's a whole different ballpark.
Yeah.
I was even going to say, as it kind of relates to the game that I play, this one, And for a lot of us right now, like we're actually in a somewhat of a tier 0.
Held up some Yu-Gi-Oh cards since y'all can't see that.
Oh yeah.
So we're kind of in a bit of a tier 0 format right now at the moment. Where at the moment there's just mostly one deck that's basically running around and just taking names, and it's been basically taking up probably I think 50, 60, 70% of top cut. And right now at least like there's also just kind of like a lot of I guess not drama, but a lot of complaints from a lot of people because of the fact that people usually will have said that I have no problem with tier 0 formats as long as I could actually play the deck. And right now, the current one that's like everyone's basically playing is about $1,300 just to even like kind of play and like get the cards. So I always kind of like I know like at least comparing Yu-Gi-Oh to Smash is like never like a 1-to-1, but I always just kind of found it so like fascinating that as far as like metas go and how they obviously evolve, like for I guess Yu-Gi-Oh it's like a bit. It's always kind of changing. Like there's always new sets coming out, new cards coming out. Like the game's always kind of like quote unquote staying fresh in a way. But like for a lot of games that I notice, even for like let's say Smash and even NASB, I wouldn't, at least for NASB, I think it's still probably definitely not at the end of its life cycle yet, and there's still going to be plenty of stuff to come around, like from the developers. But at least looking at like a game like Smash, where like I would like to say at this point in time, it's like pretty much finished as far as like Smash Ultimate is concerned. Like as far as like new content coming out, like I think that's probably over for the foreseeable future at the moment.
No, it is.
And,
like they're the last update that even dropped like some additional spirit features, like was literally the last one. Sakurai said that himself. So
okay. And so like for I guess even a scene, right? And I guess for a lot of like fighting game scenes in general, like the newest one that we basically got, I think it's still kind of burgeoning now at the moment, like Tekken 8, like which has just recently dropped, like I think a couple of weeks ago, I think, because like what in February?
Just came out, yeah.
Yeah, so like kind of I guess what I'm getting at is like compared to let's say NASB, and compared to Smash, where at least Smash for all its faults was very much like a bit of an established community in a way. And it's been established for like I guess many years now, I guess ever since like Melee and towards Brawl, I suppose. Like moving forward now from then and like now with where you're at right now, like I know you said that like as far as the atmosphere in NASB, it's like a lot more welcoming. It's like kind of just got that more like a little bit of a wholesome vibe compared to let's say I guess Smash. Like when you felt that, like did you sort of kind of like I guess kind of went back and looked at your experience in the Smash community and just kind of went like it like this difference is like huge, and like is it like what kind of like how did you feel like when you sort of realized like that was the vibe from NASB compared to Smash, and like just kind of the difference?
I'll say this, it's like I went to ton of locals for Ultimate, and it was like as soon as I like realized that was like it was crazy. I actually like think about this a lot, this question, and the moment I realized it was actually the moment I died as a competitor like in Ultimate. I don't know why that was like a correlation, but like there was one day I was playing like NASB, and this was still like the first year of the game, and so it was like
NASB
still
1.
playing it. Yes, NASB 1, and so. Like, and I loved Ultimate, like, when I was playing NASB 1. It wasn't like, I was like, this is gonna be the Smash killer.
Yeah.
It's overtaking it. It's the only game for me. Like, it was just like, wow, this game is hilarious. Like, I love it. Like, I'll play this in Smash. And, like, I still compete in Ultimate, you know, I still TO'd Ultimate. Still, like, I never even got to host an offline NASB bracket in college because nobody wanted to play it. no, they're like, oh, we're not playing this with you beyond the first like week. I'm like, all right, fair enough. I'll play by myself. It's fine. That code's awesome. But anyways, like, I was like thinking about this, like, man, like, why am I like so invested in the scene? Like, I'll enter like 6 or 5 brackets a week because there was one like every day for NAS 1. And it was like, I would enter all of them. I would talk to the community nonstop. And it was like, why don't I care like about like my Smash local scene? And like, not that Illinois is not bad. Like, I love my local scene. Like, Illinois is great. But it's like, why don't I like invest my time into that or get to know them? Or like, why don't I want to interact on Smash Twitter anymore? Like, or even practice like tech. Because I used to practice like every day, and all of a sudden it just like, stopped when I was competing in NASB, and I was like, even though this game is like jank as shit, and like characters will just randomly explode, or like new weird metas will come out because a patch will rework a whole new mechanic, or like they added dash dancing like in NASB 1. Like there was no dash dancing, there was no dashing in NASB 1. Like they literally added dash, or like they added like they took out vectoring. Do you remember that, where like you'd get hit and like you'd have to air dodge in, and you could air dodge in and you'd like live longer? Do you remember that?
I actually don't.
So that was a thing. Like there was like so many things. Double stocking. There was a thing called T dropping, where you could like taunt. You could hold somebody in the air. If you click the taunt button, you'd both fall, but you were actionable frame 1. So they were still in hit stun for some reason, or like they were unactionable. So when you would taunt drop, you could then do a strong and just kill somebody for free with no effort required. You just
gave
jump.
You free advantage and like a free window to just kind of like end it right there. Wow.
So you get somebody to high percent, grab them, jump, taunt, and then just kill them. Like it was just really, really simple. It was hilarious. People loved it. But it was like the vibe was like people didn't think it was like it was toxic, but everybody could do it. Every single character could do it. It wasn't like
it was just like part of the game in a way, not so much like okay, attached to like a certain character, which in any fighting game or even in any sort of like kind of game, like when a certain like character, or even like, you know, in my case like a deck like has like obviously certain advantages and certain disadvantages, but when it comes to at least like NASB, it just seemed like as if the playing field was like very much like sort of I guess equal in a way.
It was equal, like it was equal in terms of like the jank, because everybody had like stupid shit, but like the only things that were really unfair was like, because especially for NASB 1, the game was just super rushed by like whatever the circumstances would have been for that, but like so there was just like new mechanics being added, and like nerfs and changes to balance were being done like while new mechanics were being added. So like even if they had not done balance changes, certain characters would have gotten buffed or nerfed just because of the new like hit stun additions that weren't hit stun scaling wasn't a thing, and like knockback growth wasn't a thing initially in the same way that makes sense like in other games. And so it was like all these changes were happening while balance changes happened. So like things were changing all the time whenever a patch happened. So it was like, despite all of this, it was like, I just like this more. I like the people I'm competing against. They're more like nice. And because I was at college, I also had to experience a lot more like Wi-Fi, like tournaments for Smash. So it was like, I just don't like competing in a coin box and being like cussed out just because I play Pac-Man. Like, come on, man. Like, can you at least just say GG's and move on? Like, like all I ever say is GG's exclamation point smiley face, or like GG's like good luck in your next match when I lose. Like, come on. Like come on. I never say anything mean.
Worst I've gotten in online NASB 2 brackets is sometimes they just don't say shit.
Yeah, they just leave.
They just don't say anything the entire time.
We've all gotten that from like plenty of games we played before. Like, you know, I've even played like Overwatch like went before like all the changes before all the changes that we know and love nowadays. I don't play the game no more, but like when I was playing Overwatch 1, like, you know, everyone was, I don't know, it was like a weird bag of like toxicity and just kind of like everyone just being so stupid.
It was like the time or something, I feel. Like I don't know.
Like there was because like there was before like Jeff and everyone was like saying like, oh, we're gonna be trying to like moderate the game a little more, and like we're gonna like try to like police it in a way, and like I just thought that's probably like the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because anytime any company has tried to police their game, it never works in any sort of vision of whatever they thought it would. Like a lot of times too, like, I mean, you know, when it comes to like BM, like you could be, you know, the thing is BM
that's different.
Is like just funny, because it's like if you did body them that hard, it's just kind of like, you know, like, but it also I guess depends on like intent, because it's like if the guy is just playful, then it's just like, okay, like, you know, whatever.
Like in NASB it was different, like, because like people would BM, but it was like they'd BM by like they're playing Patrick, and like they're already getting the goofy combo where like they'll just hit you up and then suicide with you, you know, with Patrick grab, he just jumps off the stage. It's just like, oh, come on. And then afterwards they're like, ah, ha, ha, I got you. Or like just something very like cheeky and like very like low, like not like something like rude or like calling you trash, just like being like, ah, ha, ha, like, oh, like
because it's like playful combo. BMing.
Yeah, it's just goofy. Like the game is goofy. So like, how could you ever be like, and for me it was like, I couldn't even like take, like I would get like upset or like a little frustrated, but it's like, I can't be mad at it for more than like 10 seconds, because it's like stupid ass Nickelodeon characters and like 4-frame animations doing like and that's a punch. Like, there's no like it's just such snappy, like quick animations. Like I don't care. Like, it's fun.
Senpak makes me like do horrible things to my controller every time I play him. But he's like,
I get it. Jimmy's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Like, and the thing that bothered me the most is that was before people were accepting how good he was, and literally after our sets, I'd be like, dude, how is this character bad? And he's like,
I was manifesting so much. I was like, dude, this character's a mid tier. Like, it's so awesome how much creative these people can be.
Literally in the Star GG conversation, it's like, Nintoonist, I'm gonna tell you a secret. What? He's not. And I'm like, all right. that makes way more sense.
He's pretty good.
Oh yeah, man. It makes me think, because all of that energy is such a beautiful thing to be around. The short time I've been in the NASB scene, I feel like I know so many of these people. Blackamar vouched for me to cast at Genesis. I didn't even fucking ask him to do that. He just did.
And that's the thing. He just is. Yeah, everybody's like that. Like, and that's him. Like, especially like him, like Tafar. Like, hold on, I gotta pull up this list. I want to see if I can purposely name drop them.
I didn't even go to Genesis because it was on President's Day weekend and the flights were $700, and I'm like, I'm not about to spend over $1,000 for a commentary block.
Very true. Yeah.
Catch me at Gommel instead. But it's like I didn't even ask him to do that. He called me a must-have, and I was like, yo. And that was from when me and him did top 8 of LMBM together.
That was awesome. I loved watching that. You guys are great together.
Thank you so much. That was the first time ever casting with the guy, first time meeting him, but not to toot my own horn at this point. I've been a seasoned like commentator for a very long time. That's one thing I guess
don't fall
some of the NASB kids don't know
humble.
me. Dennis, you got me mad again. That's a real
He likes to
slapper.
act humble, but in fact, he has quite a lot of pride in the work he does.
If you talk about my dick again one more fucking time, I swear to God.
His dick is huge.
I hate you so much. Anyway,
it's good to take pride in what you do. Is that such a terrible thing?
I do. I promise.
Don't be too humble, is what I'm saying.
I think with coming with
I'm the fucking
being
best
humble.
Ember. I don't give a shit. I am the best one. I have the results for it. I have the fucking wins for it.
He has the VODs.
It's just pasta. But he doesn't even fucking main Ember. Neutral doesn't enter anything.
So that means you're the better
Neutral, where are you? I'm going to send this podcast to Neutral as soon as it comes out. Neutral, when you get to this point, you need to like comment or like tweet or like at me. And I need you to be telling me what your next bracket is. Because you talk so much about Ember. But I don't think I've ever seen you enter a single bracket.
I have never seen him enter a bracket, and I have stolen so much shit from him.
And Neutral is like so my go. Like, I love
stuff.
Neutral.
Oh, dude, he's given me so much advice about
like,
the characters.
So
like the
talented.
Ember Court the Ember resource guide is great. Shiny. We all talk in there. We have a lot of fun. We learn stuff. I disagree with him on some things. We agree on mine. He dropped a tier list. Mine is the complete opposite of his. And the more I've played and the more I've gotten better at the game. Funny enough, considering he hardly enters brackets, the more my opinions have drifted towards his tier list.
Neutral is so based.
I know, but like I never even see him play the goddamn game, and he knows so much. It's crazy.
He's just the type of.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that he's like, I don't know how, like, how he's like very like invested in like every platform fighter.
Yeah.
Do you know about? So like he literally like studies and like just watches or plays a bit of like everything to the point where like. He just knows like you could probably tell him list a platform fighter with letters starting with A to Z, and he could probably list like 26 of each, if not more. Like he is just so invested in platform fighter gaming. Like he just knows everything about every single one of them. It's awesome.
Well, perhaps that's his way of serving the scene. Perhaps he's more of an analyst, I suppose. But in that vein, talking about the scene and like my short time with it so far and how it's filled such a void for me. Like, I have never felt myself actively improving at a game and enjoying that process more in such a long time in ways that I feel like at times I personally never even experienced with Smash for one reason or another. But the reason I'm bringing that up with NASB 2, how fulfilling it is to me, and how that's pretty much because of the people and because of people like you who do such amazing, wonderful work for the scenes that give us this home for us. I want to ask you, in your heart of hearts, what makes a game dead?
Ooh.
Because people say what makes a game dead. And I think as long as there's two fucking human beings on this planet who want to play a game together, I think that's enough to make a game not dead. My stance on that is I feel like people, because of the whole Smash Killer thing that happened at the beginning of NASB, because people spend their whole fucking lives on Twitter and spend way too much time on it, they either take that too much to heart and still compare it to Smash, a game with way more of a legacy, way more of a lifespan, way more attached and closer to the gaming world because it's the origin of platform fighters as well as has iconic characters in it, as Nickelodeon does too, but they're from TV shows and stuff, so it's different. So it doesn't always apply to the same way as video games to get that same amount of hype. But I feel like when I'll tell people I play NASB too, and because like I casted Fusion the other night, right, for the first time in a long time. One of the TOs for the event was like, "Yo, Nintoonist, where have you been?" I'm like, NASB 2, and he said, "Ew." And I said, "Fuck you." And he said, "Ew." And I said, "Fuck you." And I'm like, he meant it as a joke, and he's like, we talked later, and he's really happy that I'm enjoying the game much. But every time somebody will be like, "Oh, quit this dog shit game" or whatever, I think to myself, why would I stop playing the game that makes me happy to go play the one that I really dislike, to the point where I started to despise it? I haven't entered an Ultimate Tournament in almost 4 years, just because it's more popular. Where is the logic in that? Because I think it's very telling and a bit of a self-report when people tell me that it lets me know you are not doing this for the right reasons. You're not doing this because it's fulfilling a healthy outlet for you. It's not fun for you. You're doing it because for either some clout purpose or you think it's going to give you a sense of like unorthodox fulfillment that validates you as a person, when the only person that should be doing that for you is you yourself. You should play the game that you find more fun no matter how many people are playing it, rather than suffering through one you don't like just because it's the more popular one. It's a self-report because it lets me know you're either a clout chaser or, in the less layman's terms, forgive my French, a starfucker, if you're playing this because you want to do this. I remember like another TO for an event was telling me, "Oh, Nintoonist, you should commentate Brawlhalla," and I'm like, I don't know nothing about that game, but one game I've been really meaning to get into that I want to commentate is NASB, and he literally laughed at me because in his mind, it's not worthwhile because it's not an investment. It's
not big or something.
It's not going to get me fucking followers on the Funny Bird app. That's not even a bird app anymore. It's an X because of a rich billionaire's hubris. What do you value in life that makes something worth it? The actual experience that gives you that sense of fulfillment, or thinking this is what's going to get me someplace in an industry that is still already vastly unprofitable and has legitimate reasons for being the way that it is? I hate that bullshit so much by telling me I should be doing something that's less fun for me because it's somehow more lucrative. If you think that is more worth it, I gotta tell you, I think that's sad. I think that's really sad because it lets me know you're not even having fun doing what you're doing, and that you think it's giving you some warped sense of clout or justification of self-righteousness to get you to this spot because the game has more people on Twitter. I'm going to tell you something that me and Dennis have said numerous times on this show. Twitter is not a real goddamn place.
Absolutely.
Half the people on it literally are not real. Having more numbers next to your name on it does not make your opinions more valuable than anybody else's. None of that shit has value. So because the people that I talk to in this scene are conglomerated on a Discord app instead, with a huge server with a ridiculous amount of people in it, more than enough to claim a game is not dead, but because we're not talking about it on this hellscape.
The Steam charts.
Or the Steam charts.
The Steam charts, I know. Crossplay game, Steam charts specifically. Crossplay game where the biggest audience is Switch. Oh no, the game's dead.
Because we're not talking about it on this hellscape of an app that is not a necessity and is a product made by a corporation. That literally is not a necessity in our lives. It lets me know that you spend too much time on Twitter as well, and that because a game isn't popular on it, that is what you use in your head to justify whether a game is dead or worth playing or not. Whether people are talking about it on fucking Twitter. Everybody's talking about multiverses on Twitter right now. Guess what game you can't fucking play because it's not even out yet or ready yet because of the break that they had to take. Nothing on Twitter matters. If you like a game enough, go in. Give it a try. You might find some of the most wonderful people that give you a sense of fulfillment and fun that was unmatched by a game that you've even played for years. One with insanely hard-working, dedicated tournament organizers and people like Cherry who ensure that there's fun gamers out there that can meet and just forget about the woes of their life for a little while. But no, it's not where the money's at, or it's not where, it's not what people are talking about on Twitter, which you spend too much time anyway, and that's what makes it not worth it. Go fuck yourself. That's stupid. Play the game that you want to play. I was gonna just open up the question up to you before my diatribe went the way it is, but I had to get that out.
Oh, you're good. No.
I had to get that out. I'm sorry, because I've even been working on a video myself about what makes a game dead. One that once I finished it, I was actually gonna run by you to make sure it's healthy for the scene before I before I post it. Because I don't want to post something like that and then NASB Gamer should have been like, yo, this guy's an idiot. You didn't proofread this enough. You this doesn't paint our game in a good light. Especially after I made the NASB
downvote him.
Especially after I made the NASB 1 year later retrospective video, because they gassed that video up a lot. That got like 12K views. That's what I'm saying. I want to make sure I serve them rather than do something stupid. So, all that in mind, what makes it dead? What makes it worth it?
In your opinion,
realistically, I think the only thing that actually can make a game dead, and this is something that actually happened recently, or is going to happen, I don't know if it actually happened yet, is the publisher removes it from Steam. And that's because Duck Game, a really fun casual platform fighter.
I heard about Duck Game. I played Duck Game before.
Warner Brothers Discovery merger caused them to take out a lot of their game studios, and one of those was the studio that they own. That's the creator of this platform fighter, Duck Game. And so they pretty much are going to be delisting it and a bunch of other games from the Steam store. And so you can only download it, or even if you own it, right? Even if you own it, unless you have it downloaded on your computer right now, it'll just be gone whenever it gets delisted. You can't reinstall it.
Really?
You have to the way they're doing it. I'm pretty certain. The way I was reading about this was that it's just gonna be gone. You won't be able to get it anymore. It's just gone.
I gotta download Duck Game right now.
So,
I own it. Yeah, but I didn't have it on there. I gotta.
It's not too big. It's a couple megabytes or something like that. Maybe a gig at most.
I discovered that game through the Germa video that he made about it way back in the day, where they did the role-playing Duck Gamers video, because that game has an open your mouth button, which is the most hilarious
and you can make the tongue move. You can French kiss in Duck Game.
I was gonna make a video a long time ago, because
I have a TikTok about that.
I was a singer in my I never wound up doing it because I didn't know anything about music mixing and shit, and I still don't really, but I was a singer back in high school and college, and I was going to sing Come Fly With Me, and then just dub one of the ducks singing it. I was gonna put him in a little top hat and everything,
they have
and I was
instruments too.
Yeah, exactly.
People have made covers with that game. But yeah, to answer my other answer too, with the whole dead game question, is so this will be another kind of cherry answer, because I tend to have these longer, interesting things about crap that's weird. But anyways, recently, NASB1, we started hosting events for both NASB 1 and 2 simultaneously again. And I took a break because with how busy my life was, I was telling people, listen, I can barely host weeklies, and I'm trying to, offline and online, while my life was super busy. So I was trying to host NASB 1, support both, when there's nothing to gain except people's happiness, which I like doing, but I need sanity. I need to have some form of time to myself, or just energy, So trying to do it was just impossible. But anyways, recently NASB1, which obviously some NAS2 people are getting into it again and competing and whatnot. That's awesome here in the States. But in Japan, recently there was a sale.
I was gonna ask you about this. I was gonna ask you about this because it's so interesting.
67 cents you could buy it for in Japan, which it was 100 yen or some random number. I don't know the conversion, but it was ridiculously small, super cheap. So a bunch of, not a bunch, but it started off as a handful of Japanese players got the game, they were playing, and I just happened to find it on Twitter that they were posting clips of their gameplay, and then there was a tournament that would be coming up called Nick Brawl 1 or whatever online, and it was 7 people, right? All right, cool, awesome. First ever Japanese Nick Brawl tournament. This is awesome to see 2 years later. All of a sudden, 2 days passes, and they announced Nick Brawl Online 2, and there's 18 players in Japan. And this isn't 2 years ago. This is this week. This happened literally last week. So now they have 18 people, which that's as many as I think one of the NASB 2 weeklies had this week in the States. And it was double or triple that the Dutchman NASB 1 tournament I had yesterday, for NASB 1, right? And that was also online. So then I go on the server that I thought we find the Japanese Nick Brawl server, and it was originally at like 100 people. Now it's at like over 250, 300. And guess who joined today? None other than Shuton.
I saw that. You retweeted that. That's so
Shuton
crazy.
is playing NASB1 in 2024.
Shuton is a top Ultimate player, Dennis.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna ask,
from Japan.
Like, yeah. Some context there. Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. Like, and I don't know.
NASB1,
it's just
that's
so funny.
So weird that there's like a developing scene for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 1 in Japan just because the game went on sale. Wasn't it like the number 1 highest selling game on the eShop in Japan?
It was the highest selling game in Japan.
That's so wild.
And like, what's funny, the funniest part about this whole thing is just like that NASB 2 isn't being sold yet in Japan, and this happened with NASB 1. So the game sale for whatever reason was like delayed, and so by the time NASB 2 or NASB 1 was sold, all of the updates and everything had been finished, and so they repackaged it as Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 1 Ultimate Edition, and so it came with all the DLC, the latest update of the game, and like a cartridge that had like a gold background instead of like the normal purple, and it was just, you could only buy it in Japan, and it was just all the updates and all the DLC packaged into one little thing. And so everybody there bought the Ultimate Edition, so they have all the DLC already, and the game ended up getting crossplay on accident because some random person at the dev studio turned on crossplay and never turned it off. So now the game has like partial crossplay with Switch and PC, and that was like that's a whole podcast story for another day. It's hilarious. But anyways, like, this game now has like a whole new audience 2 or almost 3 years later, right? When people were calling it dead, and now like people from the same community that people compared it to are like playing it and like having fun, and just like the North American scene, we're like giving our tech to them and like just kind of trying to communicate through Google Translate, but like we're trying our best, and it's just really cool to like see a game where it's like, oh, it's so dead, nobody would ever play that. A bunch of people see, oh, we'll just play it, why not? It's a Smash Bros game. They pick it up for $1 or whatever, 67 cents. And now there's like hundreds of people who, like, in like the time span of 5 days now, are like grinding the crap out of it and competing. It's just so funny to me.
I could hit up Quick Play. I could boot up NASB 1 right now. I could hit up Quick Play. If I have crossplay on, you're telling me that instead of waiting 20 minutes for a match for somebody who's still playing NASB 1, I'll run into some Japanese player who's gonna rock my shit harder than like.
If you clicked on if you clicked on the Japanese matchmaking server, like in NASB 1, probably, yeah.
Oh,
you probably,
my God.
It would have terrible ping and it would be unplayable. Probably.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, but
like,
point
NASB 1 is
not
not NASB 2's netcode, unfortunately.
No,
and I've talked about that. I was like, imagine if there was a way we could mod it in. Like, I would love to play Shuton in NASB 1. That'd be so funny.
I mean,
but,
yeah, NASB 1, the only thing that got me through anything in that game was the fact that Danny basically had a pseudo second air dodge with how good his down strong was, and crash canceling as well. Like, that shit was just, I miss crash canceling. He doesn't need it, obviously, because he can do it with slime in the new game, but like, that was the crack. Even when I was making my video about NASB 2, when I got the early access to the game, I had to get gameplay footage for NASB 1, and even just playing that game again after so long,
it feels so responsive.
It's buttery. It's so buttery. It's crazy.
You never lose it.
You really never do. And while I do, in my heart of hearts, I do think NASB 2 is a better game, for the most part. NASB 1 will always hold a special place in my heart.
It's so unique. Like,
it really is.
And I also, before I cut you off again, but like, that game just, like, it's just so unique, and it's like, I hate the meta. Like, I've grown so tired of Sandy. She's just.
I never played a good Sandy. What was so fucked up about her?
Everything. She had a crazy jab. So pretty much this jab was safe on block, and it was like a double multi-hit, and it would pop you up and forward, and based on your DI, you could jab them again, and then you'd like dash forward, jab them again, and you could then dash attack cancel if they got like towards the ledge. You'd do dash attack, cancel it with jump, snare, S-dare, or if they held out, you would do lasso, S-dare, or snare, and they would just die. And that was what you do, rinse and repeat, and it's still in the game to this day. And lasso is a command, it's a hit grab, so when you throw out the lasso, if they block, they don't get hit by it, but it is active for so long that, like, even if they wanted to try and punish it, like if they let go of block after it comes back, it's still active. So if you hold block thinking that, or if you let go of block thinking you can punish it, you're gonna get sucked in, and then you can combo that into up strong, which kills, and you also can do like jump lasso into like sup air, which then also kills, and lasso is really quick, it has like really quick frame data, and it's like I don't even know how to describe this, but it's like sideways Steve up tilt, or like it's like Bayonetta combos that are like sped up by ×4, or like, and she also had the best recovery in the game, and she also had like this down special that made her boost upwards and pretty much gave her a third jump, and like she like her Nigel like was just crazy good, except he's kind of hype at the same time. Mikey, who is hype,
that's hilarious considering how bad he is in NASB 2 now.
It's actually depressing. Like he did not like, he was good, but he was not like, you didn't need to do that to him. He didn't deserve this.
I'll probably say it whenever we have Chuck on the show, and he'll probably cry live on the show, which is something I'm gonna have to deal with. But I'm so happy they fucking gutted Zim. I'm so fucking happy he's bad. I'm in so happy in NASB 2. I'm so happy they gutted him from 1 to 2. The fact that he's like way worse. It's funny
because they gutted him in NASB 1. By the end of the game, he was like really bad.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
So
I wasn't actively playing at the time.
Understandable. I get it. Like he was so like, we had during NASB 2, I think, was like the second Arcadian I ran a month later. That was when he was broken. Zim. Like we had like 3 or 4 in top 8. Like the grand finals was like Zim versus Zim. It was hilarious. It was awful, but like they gutted that character. I think after like, it was like soon after that he got gutted, and he's just dog shit. Like he's not like unplayable. He's actually really fun. Like in terms of like, he's like mid-tier-ish, like low mid-tier.
He's just not a high-tier threat no more.
He literally is not played by like anybody seriously. Like Zim, if you play him, it's because you're like drunk.
Zim was literally my reason for quitting NASB 1. So honestly, I might enter some brackets if you're going to be hosting those nowadays, man. I literally couldn't keep up when Blazing Pasta did his when he dropped his giant montage. That's like a little send off to NASB 1. I forgot how freaking fast that game is, man. I had to rewind so many clips because my geriatric elder brain couldn't even like keep up with what went down, with how fast that game is, canceling combos with the air dashes down and whatnot. It was something else, man. NASB 1 was a hell of a game. And while I do like NASB 2 better just because Ember is like a soul character for me, like she's so much fun to play as. It's insane. She's probably my favorite platform fighter character ever. She's sick. Evidently not sick enough for you to put her above Zim on your tier list. That's the biggest thing I disagreed with on yours. I won't. That's a discussion for another time.
I got 4 stuck by Chuck. Listen, I got 4. I just woke up. I got 4. I've got 4 stuck by Chuck.
Zim is a more functional character. I'll give you that. I think he's too over reliant on slime right though. Now. Yeah, Ember literally just still has the freeze glitch, which is still in the game, and Phantom Cheer and all that shit. Yeah, I know. They really do not treat Goth Mommy very well to my liking. But yeah. Beyond that, of what makes a game the way that it is, NASB and the scene is just insanely sick. Y'all should join it. We could either wrap here, or what I think would be a lot more fun before we go is to quickly ask these 2 gentlemen scholars that are in my call. I'll start with our guest first. What chapter are you looking forward to the most in the remaster of the 1,000-Year Door? Because those screenshots... Those screenshots, if we want to segue here, the lighting,
it all looks so pretty.
That's just so much life to the game.
Yeah, this is my way of getting Dennis back in here because he could definitely relate to us more on 1,000-Year Door being remastered.
Dennis, you gotta like goat right now. You gotta just start like spewing whatever your thoughts are.
Like, me and him are literally considering doing a Let's Play of it again when it drops. Me and Dennis,
I plan on doing it.
Me and Dennis did some dog shit Let's Plays with horrible audio back in the day. If me and him did one now, like we just take both of our mics, plug them both into my Focusrite, honestly, we can make something fire for 1,000-Year Door. We're both unfortunately grown-ass adults nowadays. Like, that's a big game to Let's Play, so those are going to be bridges to cross when we come to it. But, oh man, I don't even know where to start. Really, well, so I'll just ask the one question: what chapter are you looking forward to the most? What's your favorite? What's your favorite chapter in 1,000-Year Door?
The boxing one.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that too. The boxing one.
Yeah, I hate to be that guy, and maybe we might be able to end this a little earlier because I gotta say, the Glitz Pit is also probably my favorite chapter in the game.
I have to put it up there with just kind of being like I think it was honestly to a certain extent like probably I don't want to say like it was the best chapter of the whole game or whatever, but like
it's up there.
It's up there. That's the thing. And like compared to like kind of the rest of the chapters that we got afterwards, where it's like we go into a forest, we go into an island, we go on a train. It's like nowhere near as like fucking hype as like Mario being exciting. A WWE star, like you know,
and just fucking like wrestling org in the sky.
Plus, like just every like narrative of it, it's like fun. Like there's like twists and like
aesthetic, and the aesthetic
the
as well.
Aesthetic
just
is
like
so
it's
fire.
Like Paper Mario in general, like always just had like that super appealing like style and aesthetic that like I don't really like. I'm not saying okay, the rest of the Mario games are not like stylistic and like aesthetically pleasing, but as far as like Thousand Year Door went, and like as far as like kind of just the design choices that they made for that game, it's just like almost it's the reason why that I even say like the game is just like timeless in a way. And I know, guys, like, okay, we went from fighting games to just gushing about like Paper Mario and the remake.
I want to talk about that.
Hey, it's the most fighting gamey part of the game. The wrestling
True.
part.
Okay, yeah, fair. Which, by the way, the remake was confirmed for what, May
23rd, May
23rd,
May
okay,
20 something. Yeah, so much sooner than I thought. I'm like, my backlog is fucked already, and now they're dropping Thousand Year Door remaster. I haven't even started RPG yet.
I legit thought I already finished RPG actually.
I know you did, but you never played the game at all. You never played the original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was just kind of like, this was a whole new experience for me.
Yeah,
and like
at
least this at least going to Thousand Year Door now, like when it comes out in May, like I got towards the end of the game, but I never finished it, and like now I kind of want to like, and like before way back when I was just kind of like. It's like, like how much are Thousand Year Door like copies now? And I like looked at it now, and like that was enough for me to like not want to like ever pick it up again because it was just
I gotta flex it again.
It was just like way too much out of my budget to like even like think about because it's just like so ridiculously expensive. So I'm really thankful. Yeah, there's
never
David
in my life am I ever getting rid of this, nor as I doubt you ever getting rid of, nor you ever getting rid of that one behind you.
That too, yeah. And our guest here has a copy of Melee mint.
Also, $1 million friggin' dollars.
And so, like, it's the reason why when they announced the remake, like, I was like super happy because at the very least, like, everyone kind of sort of thought for a while that, like, as far as Nintendo goes, like, we always kind of think like they don't like the old so much. They always want to kind of focus on the new more, like, just a little bit more. But I'm at least very thankful that they decided to kind of like pay some respects to, like, for one of the best GameCube RPGs like that was ever on that entire console's library.
One of the best GameCube games, period.
Yeah.
That too, yeah. Like, it's just so like that's why like, I was cuz like I think, besides like what everyone may say about like piracy and such, right? Like I've played Thousand Year Door on Dolphin and like, it's obviously like, it's great. But I want to play on the console. But like I can't fucking pay $250 for a fucking used copy.
And to that notion, the fact that they remastered it, that's one of the biggest things, right? In the new Paper Mario games, say whatever you will about them, because they're not. You could say they're not as good as the originals.
David has whole videos about why he doesn't like them. You can.
I know they're not as good as the originals, especially Sticker Star, of course, and Color Splash.
His whole videos, King, guys, check it out.
Origami King, I liked a lot for what it was. Never want to play that game again because it had its glaring issues. Felt like it was constantly smacking its head against the wall. But if anything that you could say about all the new Paper Mario games after Super, and I said this to you in the DMs actually, Cherry, is that the paper aesthetic was finally perfected.
Yes.
Paper Mario was all papery themed and whatnot. It has the stage theme when you like fight on stage in Thousand Year Door, but that's just it. He turns into a paper plane at times. That's it. That's the whole papery thing. Otherwise, it's still like just an RPG with like that sort of like little theme and that they're flat. In the new games, though, there's way more papery shit, arts and crafts theme. The world, you can tell, is way more storybook-like, even more than you can in the original games, which you still can in these. But now, I've been saying forever, the only thing that could make Thousand Year Door better is if they took that aesthetic of the modern Paper Mario games, where the paper aesthetic was finally perfected, and put it into Thousand Year Door. And we live in a timeline where they did. They did. That's probably part of the reason why they remade it instead of just porting it, or maybe they just thought the original game didn't look good enough just for a port, even though they could get away with it. I remember Arlo asking why that they could just, why did they remake it instead of just doing that, but they did. And to Dennis's piracy notion, I see where he's getting with this. Just not this one. Please, just buy it.
Like,
please.
I plan on buying it.
First of all, Yuzu's gone, so it's going to be harder to pirate it
Suyu,
anyway.
though. Suyu. You know about Suyu?
Suyu? I don't know about
So
Suyu.
Suyu, they made a fork of Yuzu, but it's like a different group of people, and now you can even boot the home menu. So you can literally just like put it on like a Steam Deck, and it just looks like a Switch.
Nintendo just being like,
And it's called Suyu. Like
Suyu sounds like the Suyu sounds like the freaking nega Yuzu. It sounds like the fan servicey ass character in a children's show
evil Yuzu.
that they make. The nega chin.
Mr. Crockett coming in. Oh god. No, it's funny because it's just like it's literally saying sue you, like they sued you.
Oh, I get it. It took me a second.
You didn't get that,
David? You know how slow my processing speed is.
What's crazier is that it's not the only one. There's also New You, which is like a whole different group of people, and it's just the same thing but like different. Like,
are they all just kind of
they're all forks of Yuzu.
They're like carrying the torch in a way, or
yes.
Is just kind of like, are these also trying to still profit off of this too? Like they're asking for donations and stuff.
I don't know.
That's one of the biggest blunders that Yuzu did was having a friggin' Patreon. They opened the door to like letting Citra take the fall.
Ryujinx is like another Switch emulator that's like unaffiliated. It's like his own thing, it does its own work. They also have a Patreon, and I don't know, like they have not been approached by anything yet, but like I think the main thing too is like their Patreon doesn't let you like get new like games running early, whereas the main thing that I saw was like somehow Yuzu, some way, shape, or form, however they were doing it, was making games run on the Patreon versions that weren't out yet.
Well, there were separate builds that they had, so
it was like a Patreon build. You could literally run like Tears of the Kingdom like before it released somehow, so it would be ready for when the game would come out, so you could instantly dump or pirate it, or however you however you get it. So it was like weird, like how are they doing this? And it's like, well, that's kind of how they were they were getting copies early or whatever, And Ryujinx is just they're an emulator. They have people paying to fund the development. And awesome, good job. Thanks for funding the development, and that's kind of where it ends.
And you'll get your games when you get them. So,
I think there are features that are still locked, but they have nothing pertaining to like the emulator being able to run games. It's just
even earlier, which was the big argument with the piracy. Like,
and that is
when it
like
came to
like
Yuzu.
they must like how are you do like are you getting people in the supply chain to like give you or like GameStop workers or like
that's what I mean. Yeah,
what the heck's going on?
When we like kind of looked into it, like it was obviously like whenever I think of like emulators like in general, like even their devs, I just like to think like they're just a bunch of nerds that like I don't have this console no more, and like I still want to enjoy it, so like therefore like that's why I made this. But like when it came to at least Yuzu and like kind of just seeing like all the shady shit that like kind of was attached to it, and like even just like a lot of people kind of coming to their defense and like saying like, oh, like they're not about piracy, but unintentionally or unknowingly, that was what all of that led to piracy. Yeah. So like it was almost just kind of like a terrible like kind of I guess like not like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I guess just like hubris. It just sort of happened like because of other bad apples like within the community, and like they just sort of said like, yeah, fuck it. Tears of the Kingdom like thing before even it comes out, like
and the worst thing about that is because they gave Nintendo the legal litigation to take Citra as collateral.
Yeah,
that was the worst part of the whole thing. That was the bigger loss than Yuzu for multiple reasons.
There is another fork of Citra though. Just like what happened with Suyu and Nuzu.
Oh, lay it on me. What's it called?
It's called like Lemon or some shit. It's like it's just called Lemon.
Lemon.
I think it's just called. I can't remember. I have Citra on my computer, so I'm like, I have it. It's not gonna like change.
Every villain is lemons.
Still, it's still Nickelodeon references. We're like maybe it's NASB people. Maybe like that's what they do. That's why they're so nice. They haven't made they're like pirating games and like selling them or something.
Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe they're worth it.
Okay.
But in case in point, we're all just very excited for Paper Mario.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just like one of those like remakes that I think
just
a
pay
bunch
for
of people.
Please. For God's sake, like, it is a test for Nintendo to see which of those versions of these, like, flat Italian Red Hat Plumber Man games we like better. Prove to them that we like the older ones better with your wallet, please.
Also,
if you don't have $60 to your name, that's a bigger problem, and you should probably notify your school and your parents.
I also do want them to remake the very first one. I think it's overdue, like, thing for a remake.
I'm surprised they didn't do that first.
Yeah, you guys literally saying at the same time you did. Same thing. I'm surprised they skipped 64.
I thought they would too, but, like, I guess in a way, though, like, since Thousand Year Door is just kind of, like, a lot more easier to adapt in a way, because it's not so, like, dated compared to, like, the first game, since it was made on the 64. So, like, you know, I guess I understand, like, from a design, like, in production perspective as to, like, why they decided to go for Thousand Year Door first, if that is their plan, that, like, they are planning on going back to the original one, which I hope they do, because it's, like, you know, as dated as it obviously may look, like, you know, it is an N64 game, and, like, you know, as a lot of things on the N64, it has not really aged that well. Yeah. Maybe minus Super Mario 64. I still hold that game to a high regard. Like, I never finished it, but I sing its praises because it's, like, you know, it's like one of the GOATs for a reason.
Yeah. It's literally my favorite game of all time, but even I have to admit that obviously it's the first of its kind. There are things that are gonna be a little dated. That's normal, you know.
Same with Ocarina of Time. Like, everyone, even despite, like, Ego Raptor's whole
64 aged better than Ocarina. I will say that. I will die on that.
Like, it's the reason why that, like, as far as, like, you know, a well-known, like, kind of titles to remake, like, we got Ocarina of Time, like, you know, on the 3DS, and, like, I know there was a Super Mario 64 remake, or, like, you know, it was the DS one that everyone kind of knows of, like, if you were around that time, there was Super Mario, what was it, just called Super Mario DS, right?
Super Mario 64 DS.
Yes, yeah. So, like, you know, as far as, like, modern, not HD remakes, but, like, at least modern remakes when it came to, like, a lot of those games, like, Paper Mario is still, like, one of those that just has not received one, like, to this day. And, you know, it's just I'm not gonna be dramatic.
This is the first remake of any of the Paper Mario games. It is.
That's true.
They've never done any of the other ones.
True.
Yeah.
So, you know, as far as, like, you know, them testing the waters, which I think this is what it is. Like, you know, it's like
testing the waters as well as end of life game. They're dropping a lot of remasters this year.
Yeah.
They're putting a lot of remasters on the Switch this year and the year before as well. It kind of makes you think they're saving some of the newer ones for something else.
Well, yeah, I think I can see that too.
I don't know,
because, like, Metroid is like, you know,
that's never coming out, man. I think that's
not for the Switch. It's a launch title for the next console. I promise.
It's for the Switch 3.
The Switch 3 at this point. Whatever.
You might as well just delay it.
The Switch 5. It's gonna be
2030.
Literally came in and said that shit's ass. Redo it with somebody else. Meanwhile, I mean, you know, skip 64 for remaster. I'm just sitting here waiting for my Super Paper Mario remake. That is literally never going to happen.
I never say never. People.
I love that game. Has a better story than Thousand Year Door, in my humble opinion.
I can see it.
Yeah, that game is godlike.
I will say one last thing that I'm so hyped for, though, is that I did one of the first things I did that, like, got me a little bit of a community on Twitch when I stream was actually streaming my first playthrough of Mario A Thousand Year Door.
Hey.
And so my friend gave me his GameCube copy, and I used my Wii to, like, burn it into my PC so I could play it on Dolphin and widescreen. And so I dumped it onto there and just played it and streamed it through, and I was like, this is awesome. And now that's coming to the Switch, I can play it again, do another stream, and, like, maybe also just play it in my bed, like,
with HD and Bloom.
Yeah.
Oh, the reason I didn't get Sonic Frontiers on the Switch is because I wanted the game to run better. But, like, there's nothing I want more than to just be able to lay right there and have that TV be the one I play all my platformers on.
Yeah, right.
Then you get Battle for the Bikini Bottom remaster on the Switch, and it fucking chugs.
Yeah.
And then it chugs.
Steam Deck, man. Steam Deck. Sue you. You follow your games on...
screw you.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I think that's
a good time.
We made our point. We all made our points. I don't know what those points are, but we made them.
I like them.
We do know what those points are. Cherry, you've been so wonderful. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
same, man. Yeah, it's
wonderful guest. Wonderful guest. Love picking your brain about NASB and about Thousand Year Door and about gaming scenes and whatnot. And if you want to pick out his brain even more, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter, BlueSky. All of them are usually cherry_PFGC threads. I'm on like all those things, but also the main things, make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube. If you type in @CherryNASB, you'll find me. But I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by May, and I'm getting close. I'm about 150 away, so that's the grind I'm on.
Am I sub to your YouTube? Hang on. I know I followed you on Twitch recently. Hang on just a dig darn second.
It's crazy. Like, Chuck actually just subbed to me, like yesterday. Nice. I'm like, you know what, Chuck? I know we like comment on all each other's videos, but this is obscene. How could you?
How could you, Chuck?
Chuck, I've known you for too long.
What is your YouTube again? What were the last
Cherry
three letters?
NASB.
NASB. I figured that's what that would be. No, I did. I did click it recently, just making sure while I was peeping some VODs.
Send me the link, David.
Yeah, I will do that right now. Yeah, they also Cherry also puts on amazing events with some other wonderful NASB organizers. If you want to check those out, the latest one would be, I do believe, Dutchman's Dungeon. We'll throw that up on screen right now.
Yeah, number 2. And
take a look at this one.
If I'll shill that real quick. Next week. Please. So this week we had a $100 prize pool by Trolley Gummy Worms. So next week we already announced this, we're having another $100 pop bonus, and it went pretty swimmingly. People were pretty used to just like, because it has a chat function now, so you can do like the IDs and the stage banning all in there, so it's pretty simple, but like it's nice to have it. We'll be using that for as long as we have it, and we appreciate them giving that money. So if you like prize pools,
you like prize pools,
you like money, play.
Yeah, you like money? Come get some money. If you don't like money, if you don't like money, then don't enter. It's fine.
I don't like money enough to win. Unfortunately,
that's fair.
I placed my seed. I got 7th.
Hey, you had fun though.
I did have a good time, and then I played Senpak in the fun times. Fewer and farther between. No, I'm just kidding. I actually had a really fun time playing Senpak. I learned a lot of what I have to do against Jimmy. It felt way better against that set.
Awesome.
He's just great. I beat Senpak once the first time I played him. Never again. As soon as I beat him, I knew for a fact. I know for a fact, like, yeah, you just didn't know how to fight a good Ember.
I feel that. I beat Hockey once in friendlies, and I never did again. That was like more than 3 months ago now, probably. I've never beat him again.
The only ones I literally never lose to are all the Reptars. Positive on Little Boy, I'm positive on LandCon, positive on Abs, positive on literally
Ember,
all of them. Because Ember dicks on Ember.
I lose to Frosty in every Reptar every day.
Will show you the ways. Ember does not. I think that's one of Reptar's worst matchups, like low-key.
I believe it.
Yeah, even the Reptars and Embers agree. But we're done. If you want to check out more of this, you can go ahead and keep following the non-esports side of me over here at the Double D Experience. We're on Twitter at Double D Pod. We are we're available wherever you get your podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Like I say every week, if you want to do us a big favor, it just takes 2 clicks on your mobile device. If you have Spotify, just leave us a very quick 5-star review. You don't even have to type anything because you can't type anything. It's not even an option on Spotify. But it does help with our SEO on that app a lot, as well as our general ratings and pushing our stuff forward a little bit. So if you want to give us a 5-star review, that'd be great. And if you want to just check us out where I know most of you listen, right here on youtube.com/Nintoonist, give us a like on the video, comment down below what chapter of Paper Mario you're looking forward to the most, as well as answer that question on Spotify, as well as leave us a subscription. It helps out a little bit, but more than anything, we just appreciate your listenership. You guys, we've seen the growth. It's been real. Me and Dennis have been grinding this shit for years. You already know. I'm not going to go on that whole spiel. This episode's going on a little longer than they typically go on anyway, because we had a guest. So we hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, follow Cherry every where you get, and go away.
Buy Paper Mario.
Bye.
And buy the game. Buy
the game.
Buy
don't
that
get,
game. Do not
Yuzu, whatever the fuck. Yeah, like just
sue
buy
you.
the game. Yeah, don't get sue you.
No, screw you.
Yeah. That's what Nintendo's gonna say. Screw you.
Screw
like, they
you.
sue you.